You got it?
Got it. And handing control back to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that so kindly. Good afternoon, everyone. How is everybody doing today?
Good, good.
Doing well.
As we continue to pile in, we appreciate John sharing a tune with us, and we appreciate Captain Harrison joining us right on time. Never before time, and never too late, but always right on time. And we appreciate that. So let's get the meeting started, folks. Obviously, as you know, UHA likes to start on time. We do allow a little grace, a couple of minutes or so forth, to allow people to continue to come in, but we like to try to get right rolling into the agenda and the facts that you all should have received about today's topics for the meeting. This is the general meeting, third quarterly general meeting of 2022. And this will be our final regular quarterly meeting. We have another meeting in October that is our annual meeting, in which case we will be electing any new board members. Based upon the slots that will be available, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. But just so we can feel comfortable about proceeding, let me ask, as we always do, permission from one of our View Park, View Heights, Windsor Hills elders, the OGs, who would give us permission to continue.
Permission granted.
There's an OG. Yeah. Did I hear that from you, Joanne?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And let me also just acknowledge, as we get started, several board members are not able to be here today for a number of different reasons. Some are out of the country, some with health issues. And so I just want to acknowledge that. There's a few board members who are not with us today. Richard Rice, Linda Schwartz, and Douglas Roddy, unfortunately, are not able to be here with us today. But I did want to acknowledge the board members that are here that I can see, and I can see Dr. Helen Sellers front and center right here. I can also, as you heard, as the OG elder who gave us permission to continue, Joanne Fountain, also as a board member. And let's see, is there anyone else on yet who's a board member? I don't think so, but as they join us, I will announce it and let you know. We always like to get started right away with one of our top priorities, which is community safety. And we know that Captain Harrison has always joined us despite his busy schedule, and he has another busy schedule today. And so we appreciate him being here and being on time. And I promised him that I would get right to him immediately so he can attend to some other business today. And so I want to make sure we honor that. And so Captain Harrison, I appreciate you being here. And if you could just try to give us an update, I'm sure given everything that's been going on late in the community, folks will have a few questions. So let's make sure we get started right away with your report, and then we'll see how folks want to respond.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for having me. So I'll begin with going over some of the stats over the last few months in the area, and I'll go based on the type of crime that the incident entailed. So over the last, I'll just go between June, July, and August, just to give you an update of kind of what's been going on within those last 3 months. So within those last 3 months, we had 2 homicides in the area, which I'm sure most of you guys are aware of. We had one at the illegal marijuana dispensary, and we had one in the local residence area in an alleyway in the View Park area. And before I go continue on with my stats, I do want to state that the homicide that occurred in the alleyway, there is a suspect in custody. It's an isolated incident. It was between those two individuals. So I don't think it's anything that the community has to worry about, but that particular suspect is in custody. So that is at least a good thing. As far as our rapes in the specific areas, we've had a slight uptick in rapes. We're up about maybe 20%. And most of those rapes entail some type of relationship. The victim met the perpetrator either online or, at a club or at the grocery store, and they went out of 1 or 2 times. And quite often, in those situations, if there is a predator, that particular suspect took advantage of the victim. But there was some type of relationship between the suspect and the victim. In 99% of those incidents, we did have one where the suspects were unknown. And our detectives are definitely investigating that one as well. But the other suspects are known suspects. Our robberies in the area have gone up quite a bit. They've gone up. I'll use, I don't want you guys to freak out about the number, but it's still a lot. When we say like things have gone up 50%, 20%, well, our robberies have actually gone up 100%. And I'll just go over the entire area, not just your area, but our water side as well, because the robberies have gone up quite a bit, period. So our robberies to date compared to last year have gone up from 14 last year to 28 this year. And a lot of those robberies are street robberies. A lot of those robberies, especially on the water side, have been like follow home robberies. But we have had quite a few on the East End in your specific areas. We did make a few arrests in relationship to a few of those robberies. And I know our detective bureau has some suspect information on a few of the other robberies. I don't want to give too many details, but they do have some suspect information. So we're hoping that there's going to be some arrests in the near future. Our aggravated assaults are up about 15%. Our burglaries are up about 23%. I would say within, if you look at June and July, that's when they kind of spiked. August, they weren't too bad. This September, they seem like they're trending down a little bit, so that's good. So we definitely are happy about that. And hopefully the numbers we get over the next 3 months will be a lot lower in that area, and hopefully a lot lower in every category that has gone up. Our larceny thefts, which is a theft of, like bicycles, those minor items, like if someone goes in your car and steals a wallet, that's considered a larceny, or goes into a store and steal a candy bar, that's considered a larceny. Those are down 15%. Our stolen vehicle thefts are actually only up 3%, which at one time they were up a lot more than that. But I think our deputies being out patrolling the area a little bit more with the use of our COPS program, which we utilized in July, just to kind of address the burglaries, but we did it kind of to impact crime in general. We also reached out to our parole compliance team. We did an operation with them in the area. Our detective bureau did an operation in the area in July as well. So we're going to try to continue to do those operations. This kind of provides some additional saturation for the area. Our arsons in your particular area, hasn't been really a change in arsons. I don't think we had one it may have been one in the area. The other 2 were on the water side area, and actually the suspects were apprehended in those particular situations. And those situations actually involved someone who was unhoused, and they set fire, and of course we had to arrest them for arson. So in general, our Part 1 crimes overall, which these are all Part 1 crimes, are down 3%. In general. Some other things that we've been working on is, of course, working with the Board of Supervisors. and they're in the county engineering department in regards to traffic. So the county, should I say the engineering department will be out this week on Slauson to kind of survey the area to see how they can hopefully make that particular area a little safer as far as traffic. We did have an assault with a deadly weapon that occurred near Home Depot Center, and it actually occurred right near the subway. This particular suspect, they were closing. Suspect came. He came after hours. He was upset that the store was closed. He waited till one of the employees left, and he actually shot several rounds at the victim. That suspect is in custody as well. So these are some of the things that have occurred in the area over the last 3 months. So we've had an uptick in quite a few of our particular areas, but we're hoping that our efforts in providing some additional patrol and reaching out to some other resources to help us out will kind of bring these numbers down quite a bit. Just another update in regards to the illegal marijuana dispensary. It is closed right now. If you guys hear anything in regards to it opening up again or see any traffic, if you know where that particular location is, please let me know so I can forward that information to the Board of Supervisors office, because I have been in contact with them and they would like to know when it opens. And we're actually working with the county council and like the abatement, zoning and planning to try to make sure this place doesn't open up again. So those are our efforts. Also in regards to Reuben Ingle Park, Mr. Grace and I, of course, had a few conversations about the park, and hopefully we're able to work with the supervisor's office. I know they've been really supportive, probably within the last few weeks, some conversations I've had with them about addressing the illegal vending. Well, it's not illegal vending. Vending is actually legal unless they're blocking the sidewalk. So, but they do have some other options that we may be able to look into in regards to addressing vending. So keep in mind, vending is legal. It's been legal in the city. And a few years ago, the county adopted the same mindset that they would allow street vending as well. So unless they're blocking the sidewalk, there's honestly nothing we could do. There's no legal action we can take against that particular person. But I think the supervisor's office did have some good ideas on some other options that we may be able to address that as well. I think our Parks Bureau and Park and Recs I think they will be reaching out to Mr. Grayson to kind of come up with some other ideas in regards to the signage and making sure the signage is specific so we can address some of the other issues that are occurring there. But that's kind of where we are today. I know I kind of gave you guys a lot, but I was trying to just go over everything that we've done over the last few months. So if you guys have questions, please let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, and thorough job in covering some of the issues, obviously, that you and I have talked about and we wanted to address. So that's good. Anyone have any questions before I pose any?
Like I see a hand, Charles Covington has a hand up. Daryl.
Charles, unmute yourself and go ahead, Charles. Just saw Charles yesterday, riding down my street. Charles, you there? You want to unmute? Can you hear us?
I'm trying to figure out how to do it on the phone. I couldn't
Okay.
get my.
We can hear you now. We can hear you.
Well, there is vending allowed, but not in residential areas, and that's part of the problem with some of these vendors. Is that it's a residential area, you know, and that's very disturbing. I mean, the city has very loose policies, and I don't think we adopted exactly their policies, but if we did, we need to check that and don't accept vending in residential neighborhoods.
Captain, are you aware of what Charles is talking about?
No, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of vending being illegal in a residential area. That would be something I have to look into, but based on the information I have, vending is I can't say it's legal, but they're allowing it to occur. And I think I forwarded you some information a few weeks ago that kind of explains that. And it doesn't state whether it's on, well, of course it can't be done on private property, but if it's on a public, it's in a public space, which Reuben Ingle Park would be a public space. Now they're setting up vending in front of your house, that's private property. So I would assume that's a little different. So there is, I don't think there's a way that they can vend legally in front of your home, because they would have to block the sidewalk or either be on your grass or on your property. So of course, I think that would be illegal outright. But Reuben Ingle Park is a public park.
Right. But part of that issue is I think you have to have access to public restrooms. And we definitely don't have public restrooms at the park, which is another issue of people having classes and conducting businesses there that aren't supposed to be there. That's not really a park. Actually, it's a walk. And I think that's where this big issue is that they labeled that as a park, and I think it needs to be relabeled as a community walk. And it's, you know, I don't understand why they can't go down to Ladera. Ladera is more suited to that type of activity, and I see plenty of people down there doing it. So why is it that they're all up at the park where people go and try to relax, and their activities are nothing but other than obstructed? All the relaxing, people want to enjoy walking, they're whistle blowing, they got, you know, they're hitting bags, they're making a lot of noise. It's disturbing. And they've cut it out, but they used to drag tires all the way down residential streets there. I don't know if you knew that, but that's ridiculous, in the middle of the street. And let alone, I've seen, you know, them cutting through the bushes all the time, which has created quite a eyesore as far as the park's, you know, beautification, you know, trying to keep it beautiful. They have these little pathways that are going right to where they train. And it's, and now, where do you go to the bathroom? I mean, I've seen them go to the bathroom in the bushes, you know?
Right. I'm definitely not disagreeing with you as far as the facilities that are there. But even in the LA City area, you won't see bathrooms and they allow vending. I mean, I'm just talking about in regards to vending.
Yeah.
There isn't a proper place for them to wash up, but they allow vending. And like I said, the county adopted the same response as the city, unfortunately. And like for us, for our department, legally, we don't have authority to enforce a law that the county doesn't, you know, is not following themselves, or should I say is not enforcing themselves. So they have to give us authority to respond to that complaint. Like they would have to make that illegal again, like it once was, and then we can respond to it. Now, as far as people exercising in the middle of the roadway, you definitely should call our station and let us know. I don't think that's happened in a while, but if it happens again, definitely let us know, because they're in the middle of the roadway and that's not legal. But I think as far as the park is concerned, I think Park and Recs is going to have a discussion in the near future. And I know our county council is going to be involved as well. So I did reach out to the Parks Bureau captain and Parks Bureau as a whole, just to kind of spark the conversation again, because maybe it wasn't, you know, maybe they just kind of moved on to something different because we haven't had that many complaints recently. But we're definitely going to have that conversation again as far as the exercise in the park, because the law has to be specific. The signage has to be specific. It has to be very specific for us to enforce it, because if it's not specific, if it just says no group workouts, that could be 2 or 3 people. That could be me, you, and one other person, and we get together and we're doing jumping jacks together. That could be viewed the same as someone else. So I'm just saying, as far as the law, it has to be very specific for us to respond appropriately and address it.
Anybody else have any questions? Because I do want to comment on this, but I want to make sure we allow people to express their voices before I kind of, because it's on the agenda of what we're going to talk about beyond. And I'm glad Captain Harrison brought it up, and he's already addressed some of those issues that I was going to address. Does anyone else have any other questions for Captain Harrison?
Well, it looks like you've got Karen and Chandra, and then I didn't see Troy's hand up, but it sounds like he's got a question too. So why don't we go in that order?
In that order,
Okay.
great.
Okay,
Karen?
thank you very much. I just want to make a comment on the vending machines. What about when vending becomes a noise factor, such as loud music in residential areas, which is against the law? How do we address that?
A vending machine?
I mean, a vending section, or I've seen, it looks like he's selling something, or apparently it's a business, but with use of music and other types of sounds that are loud.
Right. Well, we could definitely always address a noise complaint.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
not an issue. Yeah, you should definitely give us a call because it'll actually give us an opportunity and authority to go and speak to the person.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
So it actually gives us, no, if you live close by and music's too loud, whatever music it is, then you definitely give us a call and we can respond to that particular individual who is, causing that noise disturbance. So that's totally different than.
Okay, great. Okay,
Yes,
great. Thank you.
definitely give us a call.
Certainly will.
Chandra? was next.
Chandra?
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Chandra Mosley. On behalf of Captain Harrison and CHP here, Officer Pepe, I also know him. I have to commend you guys for coming out at the street safety with the supervisor, Holly Mitchell, and other public works and other organizations. It was a large group there, and they were there in force and answering questions, and I thought it was just absolutely wonderful. Captain Harrison, we talked extensively, and I really appreciate the presence that I've seen, especially in the park area, because that's where I walk midnight. Everybody knows midnight. And so it's great to see the officers there, and they're not just driving through. What I noticed, Daryl, is they're actually engaging with the people who are either walking the walk path or flagging them down and asking questions, and I think that's really great, and CHP as well. On regards to the issue about specifics, one thing I got from that meeting and talking directly to Supervisor Holly Mitchell, if there's something that is existing now that they have, especially have changed in law and is negatively impacting you, that's when you need to write a letter to her. She can put forth a motion. You have to be very specific. I did that when I spoke with her. The motion was passed on Tuesday. And so it was just that quick. I brought it into her. She said, another supervisor actually brought it up. Submit a letter, make your comments. And the same thing with these laws that they just created, or ordinances that they created for the influx of homelessness, and now it's impacting us negatively, or the impact of COVID, and now it's impacting us negatively. That's when each of you have the power to go submit your letter and be on that Zoom meeting and voice your opinion about that new law and how you would like it changed. And I strongly recommend you do it in writing. And again, thank you, Captain Harrison and CHP Pepe. I see you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Daryl, you got Cynthia, and I don't see a hand from Troy, but it sounded like he had a comment too. And I just posted something in the chat about the street vending issue for folks' information.
Okay, Cynthia? Can I mute?
And Cynthia, you got to unmute because we can't hear you. Let's go to Troy there's
Okay,
Cynthia.
I'm back.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Yes, I'd like to get together with Mr. Covington about this vending. I've seen the the Culver City Stairs start out as a peaceful venture for exercising, and now it's impossible. So we need to get a group together to really seriously talk to somebody about what can start. Thank you. That's it.
Yep. Cynthia and Charles want you guys connect via chat, or you can email us and we'll connect you guys.
Thank you.
Troy, real fast.
Okay, real quick. And thank you, everybody. Really, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's on the call that have to take the time to care about their community. And really special thanks out to Captain Harrison, you're the best representative I can say for our community with the sheriff department, that you started here as a deputy, then you continued on and you had a choice to go elsewhere. And thank you for staying in our community. I appreciate you and Peppy. Just want to address something really quick is there was another accident on Andrews Vista last Sunday morning where a vehicle overturned. Fortunately that the lady was able to walk away from the accident. But Harrison, is there something that we can do? I spoke with Officer Peppy and several other people. To be honest with you, I don't think there's a lot we can do in terms of enforcement with people that just have bad driving habits. If they're driving at 100 miles an hour, there's no way a car out there is going to stop that. But at one point, we did have a patrol car sitting at Rampal as well as at West Boulevard, and I believe it was one on Valley Bridge one time. It was a abandoned patrol car, and that seemed to get a lot of folks' attention. Is that something we can do again?
Yes, if you want me to answer CHP on.
Well, let's do this. Let's finish the conversation with regard to the issues that Captain Harrison raised, because we're going to discuss traffic more specifically with CHP. But so just hope we've got that question, Troy, and we will bring it back up. But let's just make sure there's no other questions for Captain Harrison, who may not be able to stay the whole time.
Well, at one point, Daryl, there was a sheriff car there, so that's why I brought it up to Captain Harrison.
Yes, I got Troy. I got you covered.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Was anyone else, John? On the raised hand list?
Don't see any other hands.
Okay. All right. So let me just say this real quick on the vending issue, and because there is some, and when I wrote the agenda and sent it out to the members in the email, I specifically indicated that there was some unclear policy going on with regard to the Board of Supervisors, County Council, Parks and Rec, and so forth. And when I say unclear, I absolutely mean unclear. And I've been talking to them for 6 months. So if I could have gotten clear by now, I think I would have. And the vending is something that is a part of an overall policy and philosophy and mentality that I think started before the pandemic and exacerbated during the pandemic. And officials are very lenient, either by actual policy changes that they've made, or by execution or lack thereof when it comes to vendors. And I know John put something in the chat about you have to have a permit and so forth, and I've heard that they've been lenient on that. They do not care about permits. And I'm making this point to say relative to what Chandra said, which in terms of contacting the Board of Supervisors and Holly Mitchell. And so here is her email right here, because this is a policy matter. And Captain Harrison and CHP and others who are responsible for enforcing policy, whether it's state or county, obviously has to follow those rules. And so they can only do so much with regard to enforcement. So I want to make it very clear that from a vending standpoint, and we're going to get into the Ruben Ingo Park and the trainers as well, from a vending standpoint, both in terms of outside the park and in the park. And I've talked with Park and Recs about this. They really do not have a lot to work with in terms of preventing people from vending. I'm just telling you the truth now. Obviously, we want to discourage it, and we have an issue with it, and we don't want it to become a part of the culture, and therefore even with the change of policy become difficult to eradicate. So you need to voice your opinions to your county supervisor, the whole Board of Supervisors if you like, but obviously your county supervisor is who's responsible for the 2nd district where we live. So just keep that in mind. Contact the supervisor about policy. Vending is a problem. If other folks want to get together, as they've indicated with Charles and others, to form some kind of a group to look at other advocacy measures to address this issue. If you're concerned about vending, if you're concerned about that park being full of vendors and the street, the curb being full of vendors, then do that. Contact them and get together with each other to organize. So that's on the vending issue. And since there were no other questions raised with regard to Captain Harrison, I just want to emphasize the one point that he made about the increase in some of these crimes. And to some extent, they do correlate directly with some loss of resources. And I know the captain has indicated that he thinks they're going to be able to fill that gap with other resources. But we did in fact lose at one point 2 patrol cars who were responsible for some of the homeless encampment monitoring and enforcement issues, as well as some of the Ruben Ingo Park patrolling issues with regard to Marina Del Rey Sheriff. So I just want to say that, and also then on this homeless issue is a part of something Captain Harrison and I discussed the other day. And I just want to bring it up now because we're going to try to have some kind of way of having a uniform way of dealing with this at some residents near Buddha Market were concerned about a homeless man who was harassing some of the customers. And as you know, people who have been in the area for a long time who may be homeless become a part of the community or are a part of the community. People know them, people empathize with them, people may buy them groceries, and so on and so forth. So it's a very delicate situation in terms of how you handle it. But at the same time, some of these people may be mentally ill. They may do things that are unhealthy, such as spitting on the sidewalk and spitting their customers and hollering and harassing people. And then, and the next day they're nice and they come in the store, they want to buy something. So, Captain Harrison made sure that his deputies were responsive to those concerns with regard to this person. And we're going to continue to do that. I also want to give him an opportunity to comment on that in terms of how he thinks we'll be able to handle these types of situations going forward and how the community may be supportive of their efforts.
Yes, and just not to that incident, just to any incidents in that involves anyone who's homeless. So for us, give us a call. Definitely call us. Our effort, the last thing we would like to do is take someone to jail. Being homeless is not a crime. The only time it may become a crime, not the actual act of being homeless, but say, for instance, Buddha Market, if that particular individual is on their property and refuses to leave, then Buddha Market, the owner or manager or some representative there, has the authority to give us authority to arrest a person for trespassing. That's usually the last thing we do, because in reality, that's a citation. It's just it's a misdemeanor, it's a citation. We'll bring him to the station, we'll give him a citation within a few hours, and then he or she is free to leave. We try to make every effort to contact the person and provide them with resources, which we do with everyone. Often, they're not receptive to the resources that we're offering them. And if they agree to leave the location, then we allow them to leave. Unfortunately, it doesn't really solve the problem. It just really moves the problem to some other area. That's the only unfortunate part about it. Unless they take us up on, the resources that we're offering them, then we can kind of take advantage of that, which is honestly, it's rare. It's rare that they take us up on our offer. And I'm not to demonize them, but, quite often they don't take us up on our offer. Another part of that is, our personnel are really versed as far as dealing with anyone who is unhoused, specifically if they have mental health issues. So if they're a danger to themselves or to others, then we have the ability to take them to the hospital and get them mentally evaluated. So that's another option as well. If they're not a danger to themselves or someone else, then we don't have the authority to do anything with them. If they're not trespassing, if they're not a danger to themselves or someone else, there's not really much we can do with them but offer them the opportunity to leave the location, which happens quite often and happened in this case. And the thing is that, based on my conversation with Mr. Grayson, and I'm sure you had with the representative of Buddha Market, they'll just have to continue to call us back. And if the person continues to trespass, then we may have to take that person in custody. It's just unfortunate, but that we may have to do that. Hopefully it doesn't result in that, and the person kind of learns that they're not welcome there. But we have to be called. We have to be given the authority to take action if they're on private property or if they're not a danger to themselves. So us just driving up to someone, making contact, we can do that. If they're a danger to themselves or others, based on the conversation we have with them, then we can give them some mental health assistance. But as far as trespassing or anything like that, we would definitely have whoever's property that person is on to, arrest them. It's called a private person's arrest them for trespassing. So I think the key is that we can't let things linger. Once you see it, you have to let us know. And if you have to keep calling us, you have to keep calling us. Sometimes we can't resolve it all in one instance. Sometimes it may take us going out a few times. First time we may come out, the person may leave on their own. Second time we come out, it may change. We may have to call our mental evaluation team to come out and they evaluate the person. We may have to reach out to the county. And I think that actually Natalia from the Board of Supervisors office, Ms. Natalia Romo, she kind of provided me with some other resources they're going to have as well that I can call or my deputies can call, because they don't have the opportunity. They're not able to sit and deal with a person for an hour or two when we have a lot of other more pressing issues in the area. That's not important, but our deputies can't sit there and talk to someone for 2 hours. It might be in our best interest to give a mental health professional a call and let them come out and contact the person at a later time to try to get that person some help. So those are just some of the options that we have, but I want you guys to all be aware of what we can and cannot do.
Thanks, Captain. I appreciate that. And so just to reiterate that, communication is key. And so we're all in this together. And so we've got to let them know what's going on, and we've got to follow up and be vigilant to get problems solved and not let them linger, as the indicator. So let's make sure we do that as a community, both in terms of working with the sheriffs as well as in terms of working with the county. With regard to that, let me get CHP in here. I'm going to come back to Ruben Ingo Park, but I want to get our guest speakers in first to make sure we cover their issues before they have to leave. So I don't know if it's Deputy Pepe, who else is here? I saw Deputy Ochoa. I don't know if Deputy Munoz is here as well, who was assigned to speak today, but you guys can let me know, one of the three of you.
Yes, sir. For CHP, Officer Munoz and Officer OK could not make it, so I'm here today in lieu of representing CHP West LA.
Great. All right. So I appreciate you being here, Officer, and let us know what kind of summary information you can provide to us based upon what's going on in this particular area.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as kind of touching back on the meeting that we all attended last week, hosted by the Board of Supervisors, we did hear a lot of the complaints and concerns, which we are fully aware of, and we're doing everything in our ability to address those matters. Just this last week, I know myself and other officers were out there on various occasions doing enforcement activity. I actually got out of court Monday morning and I had nothing else on my schedule because for me, being the public information officer, I have my own office. I have a desk basically, and a lot of my tasks have to do with a lot of community engagement stuff. And I took it upon myself to go out to Angeles Vista and Rimpau and begin enforcing. I was out there for a few hours. I made at least a dozen stops all by myself. Unfortunately, the same old keeps happening. A lot of the people we stopped happen to be residents from the View Park, Windsor Hills neighborhood that are blowing through these stop signs or rolling through these stop signs, nonetheless, not coming to a full stop. Officer Munoz, Officer OK, they've been out there. They were out there last week. I've actually been much more proactive on social media, publicizing, showing the community that we are out there doing these enforcement operations. I understand not everyone has social media, so they're not going to really know or see when we're out there. But I do that in an effort so everyone who does have it can see that, hey, we are out there and we are trying to help with the situation. Aside from that, we do have some grants that we're working on obtaining, our usual federal grants where we get a certain number of hours. And once we get those hours, we are working on allocating them so we can assign those grant hours to officers so that we can have them go out and do enforcement operations in some of our hotspots in the community that have a lot of issues. So that's going to be good because in essence, with these grant funds, it's basically overtime. So it's not taken away from the regular patrol officers. It's not taken away from other areas that we commonly patrol. It's going to basically be added resources, which we desperately need at this time. So we're in the works of that. We actually did use grant hours from a few other grant operations. I believe last month we had two separate details where we had officers over on Slauson and La Brea doing patrols in that area where they made numerous stops and cited numerous violators specifically for speed. So we do have some stuff in the works. Unfortunately, with the staffing situation, you guys may know we do have a big push right now as a department where we're calling it CHP 1000. We're trying to hire 1,000 new officers. And once that gets fulfilled, we firmly believe that we'll be able to better serve not only the whole West LA area, but also the Ladera Heights, View Park, Windsor Hills community a lot better once our recruitment efforts come up to par where they should be. So till then, we're doing everything we can. And just to give you guys a little story, the other day I was at a job hiring resource fair in Culver City, and I got approached by a guy that said, "Hey, I never see you guys out in my neighborhood." He lived over in the West Athens, Westmont area that we also are responsible for patrolling out of the West LA station. He's like, "Yeah, every week there's people blowing through the red lights on Western and Imperial right by my house. What can we do to get you guys out there more often?" And I realized, man, it's crazy because I'm hearing it from all sorts of communities that we're responsible for patrolling. Everywhere we go, we never see CHP. We get it, but I personally assure all of you, we are out there doing what we can when we can. And I'll be frank. Yeah. Are we in Ladera Heights or View Park, Windsor Hills every single day conducting enforcement? No. And it's the honest truth, because sometimes we have days where we're extremely busy responding to calls primarily on the freeway. Whether you guys know this or not, we have a very troubled area of neighborhood or of street that we're responsible for patrolling, going back to the Westmont neighborhood, down Vermont, Normandy, Western Avenue, south of Manchester, and north of Imperial Highway. We've had tons of fatalities down Vermont on the southbound side, which borders with LA City to the east. And why I'm sharing this is because it just kills me to hear the frustrations of things that happen in your guys' neighborhoods, because it's not right. And I just personally wish there was a way that there could be 1,000 more of us officers just out of this station to help you guys out in your neighborhood and help everyone else out in the other neighborhoods. But the reality is that's not realistic. And we can only do so much with what we have. So I just want you guys to know that we are doing every effort that we can to address these issues: speed, stop sign runners. We know I worked this area, patrolled your guys' neighborhood for the last 6 years. We're aware. Just so you guys know, because I think there was some misinformation that was getting spread around by some of the guests at the meeting last week. But I just want to clarify, because a lot of people had questions about Slauson and La Brea. between a 5-year period between 2017 and 2021, we only had a total of 12 traffic collisions happen in the area, not at the intersection, but within that immediate 1-block radius of Slauson and La Brea. We only had 12 crashes in a 5-year period. During that 5-year period, we had a total of approximately 60 traffic collisions along Angeles Vista and a lot of the other streets that surround it. So far,
wait. So did you just say that in a 5-year period you had 12 crashes in a 1-block radius around Slauson and La Brea?
within that intersection, yes.
In that intersection, and then in Angeles Vista, you said you had 60?
59 specifically, but I'm just gonna approximate 60
In that same time span?
within that 5-year period.
Okay, that's interesting. So 60 and 12, and the one that had 12 obviously has become the center of attention, obviously because it's a horrific crash with 5 deaths. But there's been fatalities and accidents on other streets that we've been complaining about for years that had gotten no attention. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just speaking Slauson and La Brea first, which I'm aware of what you're saying. 2022 year to date, we've had 6 traffic collisions happen in the area of Slauson and La Brea, one of which I happened to be in the area of and I handled. It was an elderly man leaving that United Oil gas station. It was a little bit of a delayed reaction, and he basically pulled out of the driveway and a car was driving down La Brea, and they pretty much got T-boned, or the elderly man coming out of the gas station got T-boned. So we've had 6 year to date. And we've had 5 traffic fatalities. Well, we've had 5 separate traffic fatality incidents in the overall Ladera Heights or View Park, Windsor Hills communities year to date.
Okay.
But we know is unacceptable. And it's one of those things that we could be out there every day if we had the resources.
Yeah, no, I got it.
To predict when it's going to happen. We could leave after being there for 10 hours, let's just say, and then 2 hours later it could happen, you know? So, but we're doing everything we can.
No, absolutely. No, we appreciate you for being here on behalf of CHP and telling us the truth about what's going on. That's very important to know some of these facts, because you're right. There is a lot of misinformation that is being disseminated, and it's nice to hear directly from the sources what's really going on here. So we've been complaining about some of these particular streets, Angeles Vista, Stocker, Overhill, various aspects of Slauson, not just Slauson and La Brea, for a number of years, as many on this video conference will attest to. So that's an extremely important matter. And I just want to emphasize before, I know a couple of people have questions, before we move forward with Phil, I just want to reiterate that for those of you who did not see it and would like to get it, I sent out the information about the traffic situation from DPW in terms of their active investigations currently, based upon lists that we have provided them and other neighbors of ours have provided them directly. Streets that need attention, streets that need cushions, streets that need stop signs, streets that need other kinds of alerts on them. There are obviously a number of different. So if you haven't seen that and you have the email, you can open that up and find the active investigations, and you can also find the Board of Supervisors a motion that Chandra talked about. There was a motion that was passed in lieu of the Slauson La Brea incident. That's on there too. So I just want to make sure you know that we've laid out exactly what's been going on in traffic in our community, so everyone should have access to that information. Now we've got a couple of hands up, and I know Jesse, you had your hand up earlier. I want to check with Jesse first, only because she had her hand up. She put it down. I don't know if it's because you got your question answered, Jesse, but I want to go to you first.
Well, I put it down because my question was a bit premature, but now it's timely. About the traffic, about the meeting we had last week, we talked about not only enforcement, which was clearly a big issue, but we also talked about education, that those of us, the gray-haired among us, who sat in the back of the seat in driver's training with other kids in high school were pretty clear that we were not supposed to run red lights, stop signs, and we were not supposed to be out in the street when someone was in the crosswalk. But we have at least 2 generations of, it seems, of drivers and drivers from outside that never got that message. And so the question that I have is, what are we doing about education to go along with enforcement? Because people seem to be very unclear about some basic driving rules.
Anybody have any response to that in terms of what we're doing with education? I don't know if CHP or Captain Harrison knows about that. Obviously, someone from the county.
Well, I would just say that, for now, it's recommended that you take a driver's training course before you get your driver's license. So there is an educational component there. You also have to pass a written exam at the DMV that goes over just about every rule on the road. So education is definitely important. I don't think they get it much after that. I don't think after they get their driver's license or anything, there's much out there to provide them. And it just seems like enforcement is probably, it just seems like there's more people who are just not inclined to follow basic rules of the road. And that's the issue, because any one of us driving at any point in time, you get to an intersection, I guarantee you, and if you're sitting there, you're going to see 5 or 10 cars do something illegal that they're not supposed to do. And we in law enforcement, unfortunately, we can't be at every intersection. And, for our station is in the area 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know our partners at CHP, sometimes they get tied up out of the area. And we do traffic enforcement as well. We just don't have the ability to kind of sit at a particular location for an hour or two, because we handle criminal incidents as well. But I don't believe there's any type of educational component after anyone gets their driver's license. I don't think that's there.
Well, we need it. I'm astonished at the number of people who do not realize that you're not supposed to be in the intersection if a pedestrian is in the crosswalk. We have all these people, the number of people of hit and runs of people who are in the crosswalk, some of them fatal, is truly appalling to me. And the people who don't understand that just because you don't see anyone coming doesn't mean you can run a light a stop sign. So I really think that we need some basic driving education that's beyond, or a reminder education or something out there to remind people that this is the way you're supposed to be driving. And because too many people don't seem to know.
Yeah, I think that's a question that we should definitely pose to the county and to the state. And we've got someone here from the state representing Sydney Kamlacher who's going to talk in a minute. And we can raise that question to her about what the state is trying to do with regard to this issue of education. And we can also, again, contact via that email that we shared and the phone number for Holly Mitchell, because they should be doing some kind of campaign in lieu of what's going on to help educate the community and encourage people to drive more safely. Michael, I know you had your hand up for a minute there. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Officer Pepe, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, touched on something, but I want to lay it down with a heavy hammer because one thing I did was to go to that meeting in the back of the Dara Center, and I tried to talk and thank every officer, every peace officer there. And one thing that they told me, and they said it in a very nicest way, was that our community is violating these laws. It's not just outsiders. So it's very easy, I think, in any situation to say it's someone else, but I think we have to be honest and recognize when it's our community. And I think, the last time I ran a stop sign, it was a CHP officer, did his job very well because he caught me. And I thanked him at the end of the encounter because I drove through the stop sign. I did my, I paid for the fine. I went to school. If we're hearing neighbors who are complaining about peace officers doing their job, I think we need to step up and say, you know, they're doing their job, pay your fine, it's not the end of the world, and be a lot more careful in the future. Now this, when I spoke to the officers at Ladera, this is something all of them mentioned, that they're getting a lot of flack from our community. And that to me is very sad. We're asking for their assistance. And when they come here, people are saying, well, you should be out with someone else instead of me. And one more quick thing, and I'm going to let it go, move on. I stop on Centinela every day. There's a school bus there all the time. As I'm getting up there, the red lights come on. I stop until the red light, that little sign, goes down. And every single person's either passing me up or honking at me. And really, I wish, I wish they'd start taking cars away. But anyway, I wish there was a way, maybe we could make a push for a larger civil fine or something, to pay for more officers to enforce that. Because when those red lights come on, that means there's a little kid who could be crossing the street. And Centinela is not the most, it's a pretty busy intersection, but very few people obey that. So that's all I have. Thank you for that, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate that. Everyone should make sure that they, again, refer back to the Board of Supervisors motion recently passed with the 7 points that we outlined, that we sent in the email, that we have specific positions on, most of which we agree with some modifications. But a lot of the issues that you're raising go to what they're doing with this motion and what they are and are not going to implement, both short-term, medium-term, and long-term. All right, including red light cameras and all other kinds of things. Some things you may or may not agree with. So you need to look at that motion and take a position on what you think about it and voice your opinion. Leon, thank you very much for waiting patiently. I know your hand's been up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate it. So Officer Pepe, just wanted to find out the status on the portable feedback units that we had been bringing up in the meeting for UHA for the last couple of months, as well as the dummy cars. So curious what CHP can do in that realm. And a quick second question is just about the jurisdiction of CHP. Just curious to see how the sheriffs can also enforce speeding, or is that not something at all? I know Captain Harrison just mentioned about the primary jurisdiction being crimes, but there's got to be some visibility too that other enforcement agencies can help out with.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to the getting maybe a dummy car out, that's something I personally haven't seen us do since I've been there, but that doesn't mean that we can't do it. That's something that I need to have a discussion with our commander, Captain Mendez, with, and see if we can work with our partners from a higher level within our own department to see if maybe they can loan us a car. Because embarrassingly enough, I have to say this, at our station at the moment, we are suffering from a shortage of patrol cars because either we've had folks rear end us on the freeway from us being on the shoulder of the freeway while officers are doing their job. Someone's driving along drunk at night or driving around distracted, veers out of their lane, slams into the back of our cars. Other reasons why we have a shortage of cars due to mechanical issues, service times take forever. It's a lot of stuff, but nonetheless, we have a shortage of patrol cars. So realistically, tomorrow, we would not be able to just take one of our cars away from our fleet, because what's going to happen is there's going to be an officer that's going to come on shift and they're going to be left stranded without a car. Just to paint the picture, legitimately, not exaggerating, that's how bad it is at the moment. But as far as maybe getting a old beat down car that maybe, it's not really patrol serviceable anymore, at least it still drives. That's something I would love to have actually at numerous of the various different communities that we patrol, including your guys' community, especially along Angeles Vista and Rimpau. Because I have a lot of ridiculous video footage that I also publicized on social media where cars, my patrol car is about 50 feet south of that stop sign. I'm not really hiding, and cars are just blowing right through it. Didn't even bother slowing down, and I blow everyone's mind away that watches these videos on social media, and then I show them the end result, us behind that car, having conducted an enforcement. Going back to the whole dummy car thing, I think it's a great idea. I am going to tell our commander about it to see if there's any leverage he has to pull as far as maybe getting a non-serviceable patrol car to at least get parked in that area. Hopefully it can serve as a deterrent, as a tactic. I've said it before, I've said it again. We do have our senior volunteer program, where not each of you, but a lot of you that could qualify to be part of that program could definitely help us out patrolling your own neighborhood. And part of that means you wear a uniform, you drive a black and white patrol car, it says volunteer on it, but most people just see the black and white, they just assume, oh, it's an officer. That has been a great deterrent as well, because part of what I have senior volunteers do is do school safety patrols in the morning. I know we've received numerous phone calls from 54th Street Elementary School about people double parking on the street, blocking.
Okay, officer, my apologies, I don't want to interrupt you, but we really have to move along, and there's a lot I know that you can talk about in terms of these programs. I just want to emphasize to people, we're not going to be able to go over all of the details of each of these programs in this particular meeting. Okay. And if we can just kind of summarize, let's go ahead and summarize and finish up. But we really want to focus on people getting involved at the advocacy level in one of our committees and working on the existing either legislation or advocacy program to get them to enact measures that they already have the legislative and policy permission to do. But go ahead and
okay, yeah, definitely. Sorry about that. So just to basically answer your question, I will forward this to the captain. I will be, if not me, I will make sure that someone gives you an answer at the next meeting that we'll be at, unless we run into you guys in person. Otherwise, we'll have an answer for you at the next meeting. I will make sure I get that addressed. As far as efforts with the sheriff's department, I'm not going to step on their toes. Obviously, they have a big part in the criminal your guys' neighborhood, so they are capable as far as doing traffic efforts. But again, I mean, as Captain Harris spoke on, crime is up. Their deputies are tied up also with a lot of other stuff. So collaboratively, we're doing everything we can as far as addressing speed and other violations in your community.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Officer Pepe. Really appreciate you being here. Quickly, if we can get a quick question. I know that Chandra and Charles both still had additional questions. Is that right? Can we get those in real quick?
Daryl, mine is not a question. I just want to really encourage people to be active with the supervisor. For me, it's the CDA, the council member. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you may not be aware of if you're not attending various meetings. South Traffic, 2 captains ago, said that they were going to start giving warnings because of all of the negative rhetoric towards law enforcement, that they were, the whole thing about defunding the police. And so I spoke up at that meeting and I said, when they go and get their license at DMV, that is their warning. So you give them a warning, that means you're trying to give them an inch the next time they kill someone and they take them out. I was totally against that and totally appalled that captain is no longer there. But I just wanted to emphasize again, you have to get involved, you have to speak up. I wrote a letter to the city council and I told them the negative impact of that rhetoric was going to be detrimental to the community. I also wrote it to the police commission as well as the city council. Only one person responded to me, but and of course I'm partial because my son is also CHP. But my point is I worked in law enforcement long enough to know there's 3 sides to every story. But if you as a stakeholder do not get involved and make your voices heard, it's not just about the education. It's about what else is going on politically, and people feel like they can get away with it and they're being allowed to get away. We have the power to stand up and say no.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, ditto on that. And then finally, Charles, real quickly, I'm going to bring in Joy Richardson from Sydney Common Library's office. Oh, I'm sorry. Charles, well, let me, Charles and then Jesse. We'll wait. Go ahead, Jesse, since you're unmuted and Charles isn't. Go ahead, Jesse. Then when Charles gets unmuted, he can go. Quickly, you know, you're muted too. Unmute. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Whoever unmutes first.
You hear me now?
meantime-
Okay.
good.
Okay, the only issue that I wanted to say is because we can't, this has been discussed endlessly on the Nextdoor group. We need to get some kind of action about the situation at La Cienega, at Centinela, La Tijera, and Fairview over there, where it's just where any semblance of orderly traffic management has broken down. And everybody's pointing fingers at who is not responsible for it, but we need to get all the people involved to fix it, because it hasn't been like, something's happened since the pandemic started that has just created a big mess at that intersection.
Okay, got it. Point taken. Charles?
I unmuted. Sorry, I couldn't find it. But just quickly, I think La Brea and Slauson has the same problem. All the gas stations there's double yellow lines. You're not supposed to cross those. They do it all the time. And some of the problems that with traffic incidents there, that somehow that intersection needs to be reworked a little bit. We have problems with people trying to come up La Brea and trying to get to the park. There's not enough turn lane there. I know these are issues that you guys as law enforcement don't really have control over, but somehow people have got to learn to stop coming out of gas stations and going across the double yellow line, and that's a big problem down there.
Yeah,
and that's
this is all again, as they say, the 3 E's. This is education, engineering, and enforcement.
yeah.
It's going to fall into one of those 3 categories. Either we need to educate people, as we've already talked about. DPW needs to re-engineer some things to improve the traffic situation, to calm traffic, whatever the situation may be.
But thank you for your service, both CHP and sheriffs.
Well, we need to have enforcement. And so I know you're waiting on me, Joy. Let me come to you in a second. But Captain Harrison, you wanted to say something real quick?
Yeah, just briefly, I am aware about the traffic issues on La Cienega and like Fairview and Centinela. I'm going to make a phone call. I think the timing of the lights needs to be adjusted. I think they need, so I'm going to make some phone calls. I know that intersection is, I'm not trying to push it off. It's not ours, but I'm still going to reach out to some other entities. But I want to make sure I make a call to whoever will be responsible for maybe changing the timing, because I get caught by that light every day and it is frustrating. And some things that I just want to share. So the sheriff is coming out on September 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. He'll be at Calvary Baptist Church. He'll be talking about some of the issues we're talking about today. So we invite each and every one of you to come out there. The Ladera Center is open. If you're in the center, please stop by, say hello to my personnel, get to know them. And in doing that, just speaking about that, Deputy Ochoa would like to share something with you as well. She's my community relations deputy. She works in the Ladera Center. So I at least wanted you guys to hear her voice and her speak briefly about what we're doing in the community.
Excellent.
Deputy Ochoa. Are you still there?
Go ahead and unmute. I don't see.
Says she's connecting to audio.
Okay.
But you know what? Let me just, if she having some trouble, that we're working on a back to school night for young people, well, for kids and their parents. So that's just one of the things we're working on. So as soon as we get that information, we'll share it with the general public. But
I think Deputy Ochoa has got.
I'm sorry, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead. I don't want to steal your, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I'm having a difficult time with this. Yes, so for those who don't know me, I'm Deputy Ochoa. I am the new Community Relations Deputy. And we're open. So please come by, stop by and say hi. We're usually there Monday through Thursday, sometimes Fridays from 06 to 1700 hours. Sometimes we'll stay there late. You're welcome to have meetings there. I am usually, for the most part, I'm always there. So unless I have to go to the field and do something, I'll step out. We do have a telephone operator. She's there. So if you're not able to get a hold of me, she will definitely answer the phone. And I have been working on some events to have community and law enforcement come together. We're working, currently I'm working on a movie night for children and back to school. I will have the flyer out soon, and I hope to see you all there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And
How
thank you.
how can we contact Deputy Ochoa, guys?
Oh, let me go ahead and provide you with the phone number, the Ladera Center number. That would be 310-410-7600. They'll go ahead and transfer you with me. And if there are any issues, please let me know. Before you contact the captain, try to get a hold of me, and I'll definitely take care of you.
Excellent.
So that's what I'm here for. I want you to know that we are here for you, and I know the captain did a really good job in everything that he's been doing. So that's what he wants. He wants the community to know that we're there for you. We're definitely going to respond right away.
Great. Some of the issues that we are concerned about and that we've been talking about, may be impacted by our state senator, Sydney Kamlager, and we have her district director, Joy Richardson, here, who wants to give us an update. And I'd appreciate if she'd kind of start with some of the issues we've been discussing with regard to traffic and the event that we held last week, and how CHP and Officer Pepe might be able to get some more resources. So Joy, please unmute yourself and talk to the good folks.
Hi, I'm Joy Richardson. I'm the district director for State Senator Sydney Kamlager. I did get a message from Daryl regarding questions about the CHP. I reached out to CHP, and that's why they're here today. As you know, Senator Kamlager did not run for re-election for Senate District 30. So all budget asks are done. So budget for the CHP will not really fall on her plate because she won't be here for the next budget cycle. Senator Kamlager was present at the community meeting last week, and she was there to listen, which was the purpose of the meeting. Supervisor Mitchell's office is compiling all that was discussed there by all the members of the community. So even though, so we couldn't hear everything that everybody has to say, had to share that night, but we are waiting for the comprehensive report so that she can look at and strategize and problem solve and see what she can do between now and November, which would be the end of her term. So if there's any questions regarding traffic, I think that all of them lots have been discussed and addressed. So that's really all I have for that particular point. And I was just going to share some other things that we're doing in the district on a positive note if you wanted to participate. So I guess I'll give you a minute if anyone has any questions with regard, or any more questions with regards to the traffic issues. But I have heard what was discussed today in the question regarding education of drivers and that process. So I will definitely take that back to the senator.
Okay.
So if there's no other questions, I did have a couple of other good things that are going on, just to share things that the senator is doing. So Monday, September 19th is Black Heritage Night at Dodger Stadium, and the senator will be honoring Mookie Betts at the Dodger game on Monday. In addition to that, there will be a Senator in the Street Senior Edition at the Culver City Senior Center. Even if you're not a member or a resident of Culver City, it is open to all. And we'll be talking about senior sex, senior safety, senior scams. So we'll have the insurance commission out talking about senior scams. We'll have estate planning. We'll have the fire department that will be covering safety with regards to senior falls and how you can safeguard your home for issues with regards to fire and carbon monoxide. We're having a physician speak on senior sex, and it's an ice cream giveaway. It's a social. So as a senior, which I've heard that mentioned on the call quite a bit, that there are a lot of seniors on this call, we'll have a lot of resources at the Culver City Senior Center, and that is October the 6th from 10 to 12:30. So if anybody's interested, please join us. We'd love to share some resources and information with the seniors from Senator Kamlager.
Excellent. Excellent. Always good to hear from you.
Try to keep it brief.
To see you, and I appreciate everyone who's brief. You know me. So excellent. Wow, that's very good. Now let me just to kind of button this up, say that we are following up with, to support what Joy is saying about, kind of debriefing on last Friday's event. We are going to be debriefing with, Holly Mitchell's office with regard to how the event went and our concerns about traffic safety, all of which have been discussed here. I must say, quite honestly, that our board who was there and some of our other committee members were not completely happy with the event, in that we believe that our community's voices were silenced, that the two organizations that represents the communities that were addressed were not allowed to speak, and that people from outside our community for the large part spoke on our behalf. We've already, this is very transparent. They already know our concerns with regard to that. We made that very clear to Holly Mitchell and her team. And we think there needs to be a better way of collaborating. We have specific concerns that we have been addressing for a number of years, and we thought that those concerns would be specifically addressed for the public at this meeting, more directly as a progress update. And we'll continue to stay vigilant about making sure that the promises made in the motion, which there is an indication in the motion that there will be a 30-day turnaround on specific measures to slow down traffic on the major streets that we're concerned about. So we will be monitoring that to make sure that that happens, and we will be reiterating that in the debriefing meeting, which will happen on Monday with our committee, who's responsible for traffic safety, and Holly Mitchell's office. So I just wanted to update you guys with regard to that and give you our honest opinion about it. And we look forward to collaborating with them, with the sheriffs, with CHP, with Parks Bureau sheriffs, and so forth. Let me say something real quick about Ruben Ingo Park before we move on to beautification and maintenance. And that is that I mentioned to you about the policies being unclear. We have had ongoing constant communication with Parks and Rec, Parks Sheriff's Bureau, and Holly Mitchell's office with regard to the Ruben Ingold Park issue. It's part and parcel of some of the same concerns we have about the leniency on vending. So there's a leniency on vending and there's a leniency on trainers. By park policy, they are not supposed to be trainers operating at this particular park. They have not figured out a way to stop it. It's gotten to the point where there's a particular trainer who has begun to harass one of our board members, who filed a restraining order against him or against one of his colleagues. And in retaliation, we believe, the courts obviously will determine this, but we believe a very frivolous fake injury was claimed by someone who is a trainer as a way of retaliating in a tit-for-tat petty maneuver that we also think the people who took the report from the Parks Bureau sheriff also may have some concern about whether or not it's a real complaint or not. I'm saying that to say to you that things are not getting better, and that we need to stand with our board member who is going to be attending this restraining order hearing as a result of this fake claim of harassment as a vengeful maneuver. Again, we believe. So I am going to share with you later more details about that directly via email. about how we're going to be responding to that. But that has become an issue, and that's an issue we're going to have to deal with. There will be testimony from some of our neighbors at this hearing about this particular trainer, about the threatening remarks that this trainer has made to some of our senior citizens in the park. A gentleman had to protect his wife from this particular trainer, and they will be testifying, in her hearing about this on the record. So I just wanted to make sure that the community was aware of that, so that you would not hear it from someone else and be misinformed, that you would hear it directly from us. So we'll be following up with the same entities that we've been talking to, Holly Mitchell's office, the Parks and Rec Department, and Parks Sheriff's Bureau, to continue to make sure that they're able to properly enforce their own policy. Is Tony here? Is Tony Tabor here? I wanted her to comment on this issue with regard to the street sweeping. I'm going to move into, if you guys have questions about this, we can ask them later. But I want to try to move into this next section.
Yeah, Tony just unmuted, Daryl.
Okay, so I wanted Tony to just kind of comment on this. In the last meeting, we talked about this issue of street sweeping coming back and the no parking signs. And we debated about it. We had a representative here talking about it from the whatever department that is, Department of Public Works, who's responsible for that section for street sweeping. And we did go back and forth with them. Tony did have some engagement with them about it. And I just want her to update us if she would.
Sure. Hi, everyone. As Daryl mentioned, yeah, we received a notice from Department of Public Works regarding the street sweeping resuming in the next year, and which means that the parking restriction signs will be posted in Windsor Hills View Park in Ladera. And of course, that notice was met with a lot of pushback from the neighbors regarding the signs in particular. But the necessity for street sweeping, because most neighbors feel that their gardeners pretty much handle, wash down their streets, and it's too much of an inconvenience for a lot of them. So we were going back and forth. So the new schedule will split the neighborhood into different days to be able to provide the parking on opposite sides of the street. It is definitely going to resume either at the end of the year or sometime within 12 months. The signs will be posted. Parking restriction signs will be posted. I verified the information and asked for assistance from the county, from Holly Mitchell's office, the deputy Sarah Tamar Franks, I should say, contacted me and told me that after her inquiries, that the street sweeping is a service that affects both public health and water quality, and that it will resume, and there will be signage for the entire area, including Ladera Heights, and to ensure, the standard of service. And pretty much that's the last word.
Okay.
Although that there were complaints, that's the last word on street sweeping. It's a go.
Got it. Questions? Real quick. You have to
I
unmute.
I see a hand, NJBAT and Virginia and Jesse.
Yeah, she's got to unmute.
Who?
And
Virginia
NJ,
Bland?
Okay, go to the next one because she's got to unmute.
Virginia, go ahead.
Virginia. Hi, Virginia Bland on the corner of Angeles Vista and West Boulevard for 52 years. We still have our signs for sweeping. I'm responsible for that sign 45 years ago, but they go around the cars. Did you mention that? I was running my mouth. The street sweeper has begun a couple of months ago, but they go around the parked cars and there's no ticketing. So we have to wait until the first of the year when the rest of the area gets street sweeping before we can get ours enforced. Thank you.
Tony?
I wasn't aware that there, well, I'm glad that you brought that up because I know on our street, we're a cul-de-sac. And whenever the street sweeper, if there were cars that were still parked here, we would all be ticketed. So that's interesting. And so I'll check with them. Matter of fact, I'll shoot them an email, the representative an email as soon as we get off this call. But when the parking restriction concerns that the community members had expressed, Department of Public Works said contrary to our belief or their beliefs that the street sweeper does pass through the neighborhood weekly on Thursdays from 6 to 8. And that part of the reason why the residents were unfamiliar with the sweeper was because there were too many cars that are parked on the street, so they could, which didn't make the sweeping effective. So, so instead of contacting, like what the previous street sweeper used to do is contact parking enforcement, I guess they just decided for whatever reason not to ticket and just leave the street. But I'm not sure. That's just going by what you mentioned. I'm just thinking that's the only thing that I can think of, but I'll definitely have more info.
Okay, Jesse and
I think NJBAT has her
she's
unmute
unmuted now?
function. Yeah.
I'm unmuted. I'm Norma Baptiste. And about the parking, we don't have any signs posted that says street sweeping. And we have a lot of problems. I'm the one who's been really trying to do something about the guy who's parking cars all over on 60th and El Viso. And also we have a large tree and the tree drops these berries and they're all over the place and they need to be swept up and people need to start getting a citation, just like someone mentioned, if they are not moving the cars so that the streets can be properly swept.
Well, previously the residents, there were some residents that expressed a concern about the aesthetics of the parking, the no parking signs. And so the county removed them to accommodate, those complaints. But since the sweeper was unable to effectively sweep because there was no signage saying that the vehicles needed to be moved, the Department of Works just decided just to reinstate the whole program again with the signage and street sweeping again. So like I said, the schedule is going to split the neighborhood into different days to be able to, accommodate the opposite side of the street parking. And for the cul-de-sacs, there's no parking on either side of the street because the sweeper is now going to have to handle both sides simultaneously.
okay. Next question.
Jesse, Helen, and Charles. Jesse, you want to unmute?
Yeah, try to ask these questions quickly, guys, because we're
Okay.
Yeah.
I have my basic problem.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused.
Jesse first, then Helen. Go ahead, Jesse. Jesse first, then Helen. Go ahead, Jesse.
Okay, I don't quite understand. I'm really surprised because we've been on the street almost 60 years. We've never had signs and the street has always been cleaned on both sides on Wednesday. They stopped and went to kind of every other week, but they seem to have come back to every week now. At the top of the street, there seem to be an awful lot of cars that didn't used to be there, but at the end of the street, we don't really have a problem. So what happens to us? I mean, how do we find out what's going to happen? Because there's nobody here at this end of the street who's been here for less than 30 years. So we just kind of deal with it. But if we're going to end up having signs and alternate days, when do we find that out?
Yeah. So all that information Well, the little pocket of homes that are just west of. Oh.
Why are we getting the
Echo.
echo?
Yeah, the little pocket of homes where I live, they're just west of Overhill. We received the notice probably about 3 months ago. But going by the information from Public Works, so they're gonna sign View Park, Windsor Hills, and Ladera, all three areas, and of course, the county portion of View Heights, within the next year. As I mentioned before, that's their way of ensuring the standard of service to make sure all of the areas, because obviously, even going by what you're saying, Jesse, that there's some, and our other neighbor mentioned there's some areas that are still receiving the services, but they've decided just to standardize, again, the street sweeping for the whole area,
Okay.
all areas.
Okay, let's do this, guys, again, so we don't try to resolve every issue in this meeting. Is that Tony is our point person on this. She's hearing each of your questions, and if there's some clarity that needs to be gathered from the appropriate agency representative, she'll follow up with them and get that clarity and get back to you on it. But the idea here is to let you know that they are when I say bringing back, this is their way of saying that they suspended it in some areas, and I'm not going to say it's uniform throughout the coverage area that we have. And so we need to get some clarity on specifically, because I thought we had previously, and it may be a little bit confusion about it. So let's figure that out and then get back to it. Helen? Unmute.
You got to unmute, Helen. We had an echo, so we had to mute everybody.
Unmute yourself.
No, I said I don't want to waste too much time. I'll get back with Tony. I just had one specific complaint. I don't know if any of the members of the community did, but that person that was running that machine, street cleaning, was running at 5 a.m. in the morning. I don't know if anyone else had that problem, but on Donview, he went back and forth at 5 a.m. I looked at my watch. I'm up, but I know my neighbors are not.
Okay, we will definitely take note of that and get a specific answer on Dawn View. All right, so that's it for the questions. There was one hand still up or no? That's it? Okay, good. All right, so Tony will follow up on the street sweeping issue. I had sent, we talked about a little bit about road resurfacing, and there's some folks who had contacted me directly with regard to the schedules for that, because there's been some complaints about some areas being resurfaced and some areas being neglected. I don't know if Gail Tucker is still on or not. Are you still on, Gail? She was one of the persons that had to deal with finding out about her own street. If she was still here, I was going to ask her to just kind of comment on if she made any progress on that. They scheduled with her that was shared with us from DPW about what areas in a map that shows what areas are going to be resurfacing and what areas had been resurfaced and how long ago and so forth. So if anybody needs that information, you can email us at info@uhawhvp.org and we will send you that report, okay, on road resurfacing matters. So we can make sure everybody gets taken care of there. And then there is on the neighborhood cleanup, October 8th, Linda Schwartz, who handles that for us, is not at the meeting today, but she didn't send me a note to ask me to let everyone know that they will be having the neighborhood cleanup on October 8th. They'll be meeting at the parking lot by the park at Overhill and Stocker. So put that on your notes. I'm sure she'll be sending out an email in the interim to remind you of that, but you can put that in your calendars if it's something you're interested in participating in with regard to our own neighborhood cleanup in terms of what we do. And we've also been in contact now with Sarah Franks as well, who is our constituent engagement deputy for Holly Mitchell. And she's promised us that she is going to communicate with the various agencies in the county to help us ensure that all of the cleanup that's necessary in our area is done, whether it's the hillsides on Stocker, whether it's curb trash pickup and so forth. We need to make sure that we're getting the proper maintenance and cleanup in our area so we can have our area beautiful as it should be. So if anyone has any input on that, also email us with regard to that. But we've got to make sure that we hold folks accountable in addition to doing our own shared social activity of cleanups, okay? If there's no questions on that, then the next issue would be on land use. And there's a number of updates with regard to land use. And John, I'm assuming you're going to be able to report on that given Angela's absence. Our chair for land use is not able to be here today. She did leave a report, John. If you're not ready to do that, I'll just share whatever information that she left her report details.
Well, I'll hit the high points in the interest of time, but thank you for that, Daryl. Good to see everybody as always. I think the key things that come to mind are an update on the View condos litigation. As you all know, we won at trial, the developer appealed, they lost on appeal. So now it's just a fight between the lawyers about how our legal fees will get paid, and that's an ongoing battle. I do expect, because the same entity that owns the vacant lot also owns the retail center next door, so we would expect them to come back at some point with a revised development strategy or plan. I'm quite sure they will try to take full advantage of some of these recent laws that our friends in Sacramento have passed that make it easier for developers to basically call their own shots when it comes to land use planning and zoning. That's why this moniker is above my head here, our neighborhood voices. Hopefully you guys all know about that and the importance of getting this initiative on the November 2024 ballot that will restore our ability as local citizens to say something about what gets built in our communities. It seems like there's some fallacy that more housing everywhere is going to lead to more affordable housing, and nothing could be further from the truth. But don't let me start down that because I'll be talking for a long time. Let's see, other land use issues. I'm sure you guys have been following. There's not much to report about the mall other than they're proceeding with the same entitlements that were approved back in 2018 by the previous owners in the city. Not sure what, if any, community benefits there are that would directly impact View Park and our community as a whole. But given the proximity and also given just the interactive nature of all this development, you guys know that we've been talking with our friend Chandra and others about stuff going on in Hyde Park, Leimert Park, Crenshaw, etc. So there's been this ongoing discussion about getting a comprehensive traffic and parking and circulation study done that would look at all of this development in our area and try to do some sort of plan so that we just don't have this haphazard development and, you know, buildings being built with no parking and the spillover effects. You know, again, I know I don't have to tell this group about that, but I am going to reemphasize something that our president talked about earlier, which is the critical importance of engagement. I think too often we think and we assume that either somebody else is going to do it or our voice or our call or our email doesn't matter. But trust and believe, when these people start getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails and even some visits, if necessary, from us, that matters. And that's the only way that I know of to other than filing a lawsuit. There's always that, but you got to have a lot of money for that. But that active engagement and advocacy is the only way that I've seen and am aware of having any impact on these folks that are otherwise spending a lot of time meeting with folks that don't live here, but have a lot of vested interest from their investments and projects that they're trying to get built here. You know, not begrudging anybody, but just saying that's how the game works, folks. So we've got to make sure that our voices are being heard and responded to on land use and all these other issues. And I know, Daryl, you're going to talk about this, but I wish I'd mentioned this when Norma was still here. There's a gas pipeline that cuts through our neighborhood. It's owned by Marathon Oil. It comes down Overhill, turns left on Northridge, goes down, I think, Maymont or Verdun, goes right past Norma's area at Slauson and Verdun. And that just so happens to be an area where a lot of people have been complaining of some noxious odors recently. I know Mr. McCall Charles is on here, and thanks to him, the oil company did come out and do some investigating. But we need, if anybody is aware of anyone who's been experiencing smells or, you know, noxious odors or anything like that, we need to hear about that because we're going to try to help AQMD and other people get on top of that. So that's all I can think of for now, Mr. President. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but you probably have some more info there in front of you want to share.
Well, I just want to kind of make sure we're clear about this issue. And if Mr. McCall has anything on that, we'd love to hear that. But the report basically that I received back from Angela is that they came out and looked at one location, and they were planning on looking at another location. So I'm just want to be clear, was there any cause for concern here or not? Do we know that yet?
Yeah, let me tell you what I know. The initial incident that John referred to, it seems that the cause of that was repaving or resurfacing that was taking place on Slauson. I experienced that myself. I drove down there and I definitely saw that. Having said that, though, that doesn't mean that there aren't ongoing issues in the community. And I'd like to urge everyone that there's a series of responses that you should be taking, or we should be taking. If you smell gas, if you smell a lot of gas in your home, call the fire department, call 911, okay? If you think there's a gas leak coming from your home, you probably need to call the fire department straight away, okay? If there is a funny smell or a smell that you aren't able to identify, then you can call the AQMD, cut smog. Certainly our friends on the west side have no hesitation at all. It's on their speed dial to call the AQMD. Or you can call Sentinel, the ombudsman at Sentinel Peak Resources. I'll put numbers in the chat in a little while. But definitely we need to voice our opinion. If you are, Sentinel Peak will respond one way or the other. So, and the AQMD will respond, but they may be far away. Their offices are located out in Pomona, well, by the 605. So they may have a person in the area. They may get to it later. Don't let that be a problem. Just log it in. Okay, two additional things real quickly. First of all, this study of the air quality in the neighborhood, that's been pushed back. Maybe it won't actually start till maybe late November or December. I spoke with them. It will get started, but it's delayed. There will be mobile units. I spoke to them about the incident on Verdun, and I will persuade them to include that area. Also, as John said, if there's a group area that's continually having these odors, let John know, let me know, and we'll call the AQMD. They have a mobile truck. They probably won't come out for a historical event. You said, I smelled something last year. They probably won't detach their mobile unit. But if you're smelling something now, or there's a constant complaint, call them. They'll come out and they'll do the electronic the vapor sniffing. Okay.
And Charles, just to be clear, the incident that you're referring to on Verdun is the neighbor's house that has the oil bubbling up in their backyard, correct?
Right. So well, the incident is on that same day, a neighbor contacted you and said that there was an ongoing issue with oil bubbling up. My impression is that it wasn't an immediate thing. It's something historical that occurs periodically. I think the odor that day came from the resurfacing that was on Slauson. In any case, Sentinel Peak representative went out to a couple locations and they didn't find anything. They inspected one of those, not forced air, but those convection furnace units, and they didn't find any VOC leakage. But they weren't able to contact the actual person on Verdun. They're going to make an effort next week. I spoke with Joseph yesterday, I think, and he's going to try and make contact with our neighbor on Verdun Tuesday or Wednesday, and we'll report on that at the CAP meeting. Okay.
Good.
The takeaway that I want people to do is, if you smell anything out of the ordinary, get it documented. Call the AQMD or call Sentinel Peak. If it's definitely a gas smell, that's a present physical danger, call 911.
Got it. Everybody got that? This is not something to play around with. And
it is not.
We just stay on top of this, and I'm sure Angela and John and Charles will make sure that they are protecting our interests. We have older oil. I mean, some of the gas lines are older than I am, so you can see what you're dealing with here. Okay, so let's not take chances with this. Don't hesitate to call. Okay, great. All right, so Beyond that, just in terms of land use, I mean, our ongoing activities in terms of monitoring, conditional use permits in some of the businesses around the area and folks operating illegally and so forth, and making sure that we have the kind of businesses following the proper protocols so we can ensure that they're properly licensed and doing building and so forth that benefits our community. So they continue to work on a number of those different projects, and as they arise to the point that we need to apprise you of anything, we would do so. All right, so that's pretty much it on the land use issues. With regard to the upcoming local elections and the issues in voting and political strategy about that, we're putting together an actual report that we're going to be sharing just as from an information educational standpoint about all of the issues that we believe are relevant to us, the candidates obviously who are relevant to us in terms of their representation of us and so forth, for folks to review. And if anyone wants to get involved in helping to educate folks about the political spectrum of candidates and issues, please let us know. So if anybody has any comments or questions about that? Anybody have any particular political issues they want us to address or be concerned about, let us know. With regard to business and economic development, obviously we continue to monitor developments in the area and develop relationships with businesses. We just started talking about introducing a business membership category, which we're going to finalize. We believe that businesses should be part of our organization as well as the residents. Obviously, it'll be a different category of membership and fee that we're finalizing, but we've talked to a number of businesses and they want to participate, and it'll be a situation where we will help to support those businesses and promote what they do, as long as they are representing the community effectively, and then also in return look to provide discounts and other benefits that we can pass along to our members. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and also becomes a revenue opportunity to help grow the organization for us to do more of the things that we are trying to do. So if anyone wants to get involved in that, also let me know. There's a number of people who have already expressed an interest in that, we need to step the game up on that. Right, Nicholas? We have Nick Stark.
That's right, Daryl.
The audience, who's one of the folks who's been bugging me about that and who wants to make sure that we take advantage of the relationships with the businesses in our community. So we'll be following up with you about that as well. If anybody has any suggestions, please do let us know. I don't know if anyone is here from any of the projects. Jason for Baldwin Hills, Sharir Stanford, Stocker Street Creative. If anybody has anything with regard to their projects they want to talk about, if so, just raise your hand and let me know. Always open to hearing from you all. And also just wanted to mention that something we've been talking about for quite a while, both during our last reign with John as president, and currently we've been talking about UHA developing its own community development plan, which we are working on now, and we're looking to investigate and explore areas where we might be able to buy land and turn it into useful benefit for the community. So if anyone has any input, again, and would like to be involved in that, would like to invest in that project, then please do let us know. And I think I see Cherie's hand now, and so I'm gonna give her an opportunity to say a few words. Cherie Franklin, if you don't mind unmuting.
Thank you, Daryl. Just a brief update. We have the Stocker Street Creative Project has taken all the comments from the community, and we're planning to have the next iteration of the design, which is coming from the yield study we had, going into actual design elements, ready for preview. I think now it's going to be more like November. And also we are moving forward to develop partnerships around the incubator that will be on site, and welcome anyone who is interested in the industry or has a training program for the industry, so that we can include you in the collaborative effort that's being put forth. We are also creating an investment fund for investing into the businesses as well as the retail stores that'll be along Stocker. We're planning to build out spaces for restaurants and fast casual type of food. And we're looking for a major entity to be the restaurant, yeah. One of the ones we have already would be great if they want to scale and do another type of restaurant, your Post and Beams or Doolins or Harold and Bells or someone like a Red Rooster. We're looking for that type of business venture to be at the top of the building. And I just wanted to say that I have a group that I put together, my resiliency studio for Urban Design Center, which is my company. We're actually helping many different organizations create their community development arm and also to raise capital. We've put together a pretty succinct strategy to do that. So if I can help in any way on that side, I'm pretty excited about all the ways that we've been able to help folks do it. And we're also managing the community investment strategy for Stocker Street and a few other large initiatives in the city. This is Cherie Franklin. If there are any questions, please. My email is cherie@urbandesignCenter.com, and I'll put my information in the chat.
Thank you, Cherie. Anybody have any questions about that project before we move forward? Again, just to reiterate, that's the studio entertainment project that is being developed on Stocker Street right there at Santa Rosalia and Don Felipe. So we're going to be monitoring that and looking forward to giving our input as they move forward. And membership. Many of you know that we have instituted a new membership term on a calendar year basis, starting January 1st, 2023, and that those who have payments due between October 1st and December 31st are allowed to only pay the new rate of $100. And that will cover both the last 3 months of this year and all of next year. If your membership dues are due prior to October 1st, then you already know that you've probably paid your $50. And we'll have another $100 due on January 1st. And I'm saying that transparently because I don't want people to be surprised by it. It's not something that we want to try to hide. We had to make a decision as to when we would cut off, membership for the $50 versus the $100, and we did that for September 30th. So I just want to be very clear about that, so I don't get 1,000 emails with folks saying, "Why am I getting another request for payment for dues on January 1st, 2023 for $100?" So if there's any questions about that at all in terms of how that's being implemented or executed, any confusion about it, now's the time to ask any questions about it so we can clarify it for you. One hand. Well, that's just Cherie's hand still up. I think Cherie, you're done, right? Unless you do have a question, then put it back up. No questions on that. So I think everybody then is clear. I've said it probably enough times where it's probably clear by now, huh? Okay, good. With regard to that, between now and then, January 1st, as I promised, we will be bringing on a membership coordinator in the process now of finalizing, how we're going to be securing that person. We've already got a number of inquiries of folks from the neighborhood who are interested in it. So we're making good progress on that. And I would suspect by the next meeting, we may be able to have an announcement about it. But this will make things so much easier and so much more seamless. We're reviewing everything with regard to our current database, mailing system and so forth to try and get it much more improved. And so there's no confusion about what happened. Some people have inquired about an address who do not want to send their payments electronically, either by PayPal or credit card. And we have added the address to the announcements of notices due. And the address should always be on there. You should be able to find it pretty easily now, I hope, if you want to mail in a check to our PO box instead of paying electronically. So that is also available. But again, if you have ongoing questions about that, feel free to let us know. The other question that is up is whether or not we want to move to in-person meetings on our next meeting, or if we just want to wait till January. And if anyone has any input on that, I'm welcome to hear it. So I think we had a discussion on it last time, and folks were kind of content, by consensus, it sounded, to continue with Zoom meetings for now. But if anyone has any input or suggestions about that, some people have said we need to get together in person. So we can either do it in October or we can wait until the beginning of the year. Any thoughts about that? No opinions whatsoever.
Don't everybody speak at once, huh?
Okay. Right.
First of the year always seems to be a good start, fresh meeting. However, whenever we decide, I think allowing Zoom to continue is really a good idea, because there are a lot of neighbors who use Zoom as a way of being able to attend the meeting while they have other things to do.
Okay, so Aaron is suggesting that we do both and not one or the other. I'm seeing a lot of people nodding their heads. That's my consensus.
Aaron is assuming we're technically adept enough to be in person and have Zoom going at the same time.
Right, or can afford it. If you're not technically adept enough, and hire someone to do it, right? There is a little task with regard to doing Zoom in person and live at the same time, and having it, it can be done, but it's a little technical, expertise that you do want to have to do it correctly. So we will take that under advisement, Aaron, and maybe we can find a way to commit to that. I'm not sure yet, but certainly a good suggestion. I also wanted to mention that for folks who don't pay attention to the chat, I wanted to emphasize the importance of paying attention to the chat. There's a lot of good information that people are able to slip into the chat that we may not be able to have a chance to discuss orally during the meeting, just from a time's sake standpoint. So please do make sure you peruse through the chat for people's emails and information that they have left that's relevant to the discussions that we've been having, follow-up details that you may need to resolve an issue that you may be personally having, and so forth. So make sure that you're looking at all the information in the chat. We do save the chat so that we can look at it later, so we can ourselves follow up with folks who are making requests that we can't immediately respond to during the meeting. So that's a lot of the ways that we were able to follow back up with you when people make specific kinds of requests. I see Hazel Owens has reiterated the idea of a hybrid meeting scenario. And someone else has said we should break up the day, for most Saturday and Sunday are the only days off to handle tasks. If the meetings remain on Zoom, will the meetings begin earlier in the day? Just food for thought, folks, that I'm seeing here in the chat. Zoom and in person would be greater. So I got a lot more feedback in the chat than I got from hands raised. So good, that helped. I can see what people's real feelings are here in the chat as well. And finally, fundraising initiatives. We talked about next August, and we need to set a date. And I'm going to let people chime in now to give you your suggestions. You can also put those in the chat. If you've already got your vacation plan for next year, if you've got a big anniversary event set for next year, or whatever the case may be, if you want to put your dibs in now for a date not to do it on in August, then we will take that into consideration, because we're going to make that decision probably within the next 2 weeks. So we can solidify a definite date for August and get that out to folks and start the plan. So if you have any particular preferences for August for the big community festival we do, let us know on that, for those dates. All right. And finally, the announcement I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, but I did want to make sure that I mentioned it one more time, that we will be having at our next meeting will be our annual meeting, October the 15th. In our annual meeting, we do, go over a review of what we accomplished for the year and financials, as well as elect new board members. So that will be a meeting that is exclusively for paying members. So we will be sending out a notice about that meeting where you'll have to register, because that is the one meeting we do where it has to be members only. So make sure that if you are not currently a voting dues paying member, that you go ahead and sign up so that you can participate properly in that meeting. And that's, I think, all I have for the agenda. If there's any other new business anyone wants to bring up or announcements, now would be the time to share that. Anybody?
Looks like you got a hand up from Charles.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, to be brief, the health study, there is a health study that I've spoken about. That's part of the ongoing Inglewood oil field. They're doing birth outcomes. The geocoding for that is almost finished. So we should be, well, it's well on its way. But there's also going to be a survey, and there's going to be some vital monitoring. It hasn't been finalized yet, but the most likely outcome will be that in the next couple of months, people in the neighborhoods around the oil field will receive an invitation, which will ask them to complete a survey and to take part in blood pressure and lung function monitoring. The location hasn't been determined. It seems like it's going to be web-based, but that will be finalized in the course of time. What I'm telling everyone now is that you should expect to receive something in the mail if you are selected. The range is going to be 0.5 mile to 1 mile to 1.5 miles. So most of us here will be included. Because of the random nature of it, people will be randomly assigned and you will receive an invitation. The expectation is, please do not disregard it as spam or unsolicited mail. It is something that we need to have a good response for to make sure the results are valid. It's going out to all folks all around the field. I don't have all the information yet because it hasn't been finalized and there's not a protocol, but just to alert you that in the next couple of months, this might be coming. I'm urging for full participation, okay? It will be randomized, so not everyone will get it. I'll provide more information to our president or to the body so that you can expect it to come. Again, not everyone will be selected randomly. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. We will look forward if we're one of those random folks. All right, anything else? Any other final announcements or questions from anyone? Any suggestions? You guys think we're doing a good job? You think we can do better? You think we're terrible? What do you think about us? We want to know.
I think you're wonderful.
Oh, Tony, you're so sweet. Now, someone else who doesn't know us as well, say something. Tony, you might be a little biased.
You guys are doing an awesome job. Awesome.
Thank you. And I'm not saying that just because I'm looking for accolades and positive vibrations. I really want to know some criticism too now. We can always do better, and we want to. Nothing we can do better. Nothing at all. Come on, folks. Please tell us something we can do better.
Find more people.
Tell us something you can do better. What would you like to, how would you like to participate more in your organization?
Everybody go out and invite 5 or 10 more neighbors and get them involved.
I want to thank, when I sent out our email, we did get a $500 donation to our community development fund. And that's why we always put that link in there, because we always know there's someone out there who's looking to support our efforts. And unfortunately, I can't thank them directly because it was anonymous. So thank you, anonymous, whoever you are out there, for sending in a $500 donation to our community development fund. That's very helpful. We're going to be doing some great things with that fund in the very near future. And so, trust us that we're going to be investing soundly in creating more beauty in our community. Anyone else? No?
Me again. Yeah, you guys do a good job with things like traffic deaths and sweeping the streets and stuff like that. But as all communities, we're under attack from, people who want to defraud us or want to sell us bogus goods and things like that. I get deluged with a lot of things that saying, update your iPhone software because this is coming, that's coming. It would be pretty easy to have the UHA 2 just give people guidance on what's legitimate, what's not legitimate, what to do if they receive, the call from the IRS saying the sheriff is on his way to arrest you, things like that. So it's not just physical threats and dogs barking and people in the park. It's some guidance as to financial and health and these get rich, like, which Bitcoin should I buy? You guys have not given me any advice. What percentage I should, things like that. Okay. So some of us have interests in that area. So it doesn't even have to be on live. It can be online in your system. Just some guidance. Okay. Thank you.
Don't have us going to jail now trying to give financial advice when we're not licensed to now. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be telling you to buy Dogecoin or Bitcoin.
Hi, Daryl.
Yes.
This is Cherie Franklin. Since you formed your community development corporation, the FDIC has a special literacy program that they partner with nonprofits on, and it provides all kinds of financial literacy information on what to do, what not to do, courses, trainings. They'll come and speak to your organization. They have a program called Smart Money. So I'll send that over to you, and then you could just link it. And I think you go through a short program, and then you'll be able to offer. They have it all worked out for you. You don't even have to do anything but sign up.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Cherie. We appreciate that. Anybody else?
John, who's got a hand up?
Someone mentioned here, let me just say this real quick, John. Someone mentioned, Naomi Cox, about how can we confirm that we are a member? I have paid dues, but still not sure. And I sent her, and I know John responded to her as well. I sent her a message with a link to Member Planet, www.memberplanet.com/UHA2, the numeral 2, UHA, the numeral 2. And either you are already signed into that platform, then you have an email and a password and you can log in. And of course, if you don't already have it, then you can sign up right there. The platform sign up does not necessarily mean that you are a dues paying member. And the fact that you are a dues paying member also does not mean that you are necessarily signed up on the platform. So you have to do both. You can sign, when new members sign up, they generally go to that link and they do it all in one fell swoop. They sign up, they create an account, and they pay. And some people will actually join the platform. Some people were initially put into the platform via our original data for the organization when we were doing written member signups. They were put in there, but may never have paid, so they may already be in there. I'm just saying that to you. That's the link you would go to sign up for the platform and determine whether or not you're already in the system and allowing you to pay. Other than that, if you're not clear, email us at info@UHA-WHVP.org, UHA-WHVP.org. If you're still not clear and you can't navigate the system for Member Planet, and you want us to tell you whether or not we have you in our records as a member in the last time that you paid, we can always get back to you that way as well. Chandra.
I just wanted to recap back on what Charles was saying about scams and things of this sort. Most recently, we've had individuals walking through the neighborhood claiming to be from some particular utility or program or whatever, and they need to come into your house and make an assessment. And I had a neighbor do that recently, and I think I've said this a zillion times, but people still seem to forget. Never let anyone in your home. Never let anyone in your home. If you haven't called the utility to come out, DWP, gas company, wherever, if you have not, and even if you have, what my practice is, I always ask them for their ID. You're supposed to have your ID on anyway. But with all the home invasions and people following you home, these criminals have nothing but time to think of different ways to victimize you. So please do not allow anyone to get a description. Call 911, let them know that there's a suspicious person working the neighborhood, and that's their job to come out and check it out and verify it one way or another. But do not let them come in your home. And they prey on the older residents, so please don't do it.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Always good.
Can I piggyback on that, Virginia Bland?
Yes, please do.
Don't open your door either. If you can't talk to them through the door, then they don't, if you didn't call them to come to your door, then you need to call 911 for that. They shouldn't be on your porch.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Good advice. Joyce.
Yes, my name is Joyce Sales. I am a LA County Department of Mental Health co-chair for a leadership team with regard to the unfortunate homeless crisis. LA County has implemented within the past couple of weeks a 988 crisis line that you can call and get resources to get help with those homeless individuals who may appear to be having mental situations in your presence. And then also you can go to the LA County Department of Mental Health website, and they will have different resources that you can contact as well. And in certain situations, they may come out. As the officer said earlier, you have situations where we see these people having mental health letdowns. However, some of them manipulate the situation, and when the officers come out, they move from us feeling like they're a harm to us to a relaxed state of mind where they appear not harmful to themselves or others. And yes, there's nothing that can be done. So keep in mind that 988 crisis line, and also go to the DMH website and you can get resources there as well. Lastly, I'm Native Californian. Somehow I get periodically contacted by Mr. Heath to join your meeting, and I think it's run very well. It's unfortunate the last time I was on, which was maybe about a year or so ago, you were talking about the issues with the trainer in Ingo. I'm sorry to hear that that's still going on, and I'm extremely sorry to hear that it has gotten to the state of harassment and court proceeding. So I just wish everybody the best. Stay safe, literally watch your back, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Very encouraging words. Thank you for that, and thank you for the information. I did want to bring up one other point, and then someone else has their hand up, they can comment, that I meant to mention. I had a conversation about it. One of our members, Tristan Parker, I believe the name is, I don't know if he's still on or not, brought up the question about the environments and some of the materials that that vendors may leave in our yards and so forth. And I just want to say that our good friend, one of the issues was the flags that they leave, the real estate agents sometimes leave each year, 4th of July. I just want to say that our good friend Teresa Mack, who's one of the real estate brokers in our area, has made some suggestions about, maybe looking at some different materials that others could use that's more environmentally friendly and safer. And that she's going to be sharing some vendors who may be able to provide the materials that she can refer to folks. So I don't know if she's ready to talk about it yet, but I just wanted to mention that because it was brought up as a concern to UHA. And obviously we want to try and be as friendly as we can to the environment and encourage people to collaborate and cooperate with one another. So you want to say anything about that, T?
Just really quickly, hi neighbors. I did call our vendor. There are cloth alternatives to the flags. They had a supply chain issue in our last drop and we're not able to get enough of the cloth flags. So that might be part of the reason some of you might have received the plastic flags. I believe is what the other material is. I will share with the other 8 realtors that I do know that drop flags, that there is an alternative. I think there are 5 to 7 realtors just in View Park, Windsor Hills alone that drop flags. So I don't know them all, but we will try and be environmentally respectful. And I know some neighbors love the flags and I know some neighbors don't. I wish I had a better system for satisfying both sides of that. If you do contact me, I will come and remove any flag that has been placed on your lawn. I will take it to a neighbor that has called and said they want a flag. We're doing our best to just do a little something in the neighborhood and hope not to irritate or offend anybody.
Thank you, T. Appreciate you.
One quick follow-up, Daryl, if you don't mind, since we have Teresa on and, we're both real estate professionals. I'm curious, Teresa, what's your take and what do you advise folks about dropping flyers and, just general solicitations? Charles mentioned that earlier. And I know, a lot of times as a real estate broker myself, even though I don't do single family stuff, it does get to be a bit much. I mean, somebody cold called here the other day from another firm, and I called our neighbor on that. And I said, hey, did you know your company is out here calling folks in View Park and Windsor Hills? It's just a bit of a concern. So I thought I'd get your take on that, Teresa.
Yeah, well, as a neighbor, I know it's disconcerting the amount of information that any sales professional can get about you and your household. Unfortunately, it's the information age. I do encourage, as you guys know, we have a large brokerage, 85 agents. We encourage them, if they're going to mail information to the neighbors, to mail it, though some do elect to put it on doorsteps and to have it distributed. And I wish I could control every realtor, but that's their prerogative. Neighbors don't hesitate to call me. I'll tell you when they like something and when they don't like it. So if it's something that's particularly disturbing, you can let that realtor know. They're not trying to insult you. They're just trying to feed their family too. So, but if they get the concern expressed, they may make changes because no one's trying to anger the residents. We want to do the exact opposite. So that's, it's direct. I used to get value pack and I used to throw it in the trash. Unfortunately, that's the best solution for now.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. And
I'm sorry. One more thing. You can put your name on the do not call list for cold callers, and any responsible professional is going to adhere to the do not call list. And those, they can, through automated services, scrub your number from their call list if you are on the do not call list.
Got it. Okay. Is there still a hand up here? Oh, Cherie, something else? Was that just up from previous?
I'm sorry, I could put my hand down, but I did want to also, regarding the sales in the community, I get a lot of calls from people calling and they know my neighbor. So I'm very public. So people can find me all over the place and they can see where I live, and they'll call and say, they'll call and say, Rita? And hoping I say, oh no, this is not Rita. She's my next door neighbor. So if somebody does that, I just tell everybody, just you have the wrong number because they're just fishing and they don't know Rita. They're just calling to try to get her information because she has a property where the listing just expired and they're trying to relist it. So that's a tactic.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, you know, our meeting ends at 4 o'clock, and we appreciate everyone who stays on because we're still talking and still have issues that we want to cover. But technically, the meeting does end at 4 o'clock. And now that we've gone to 4:20, I think we can officially adjourn unless there's any final comments. And we'll allow John to do his DJing, duties that he always likes to do since his college days and take us out with a bang, right, John?
You're putting pressure on me again, man. I'll do my
And I
best.
thought it was a tradition now. My apologies if I'm putting you on the spot, my brother.
I'll do my best. And also, if you don't mind, transferring the host duties back over so I can shut off this YouTube stream.
You shut it off now? I can shut it off.
Yeah, if you can, that would be good.
Okay, got it. Was that it?
That's the recording, but
oh, we can stop
yeah.
that too. Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
I'll transfer. Yeah, I'll transfer.
Yep.
I'll let you
and
do
that way I can do a video.